r/AskReddit asks, what is expensive to buy but people don't realize is cheap to make? Dinner. If it takes 10 minutes to and from the restaurant, then another 10-15 minute wait for food, eating out is just as much of a time sink. Simple meals only take 15-20 minutes to cook. Make enough for leftovers and you're saving time. Of course you have to plan ahead and spend time buying groceries too. But the real issue is planning and extra work, not the time. Not sure if this counts, but growing your own herbs, basil, parsley, etc. is way cheaper than buying at the store. The plants are easy to grow, can be kept inside, and instead of spending $5 on a jar of seasoning at the store, you just pluck off a couple of fresh leaves when you need them. I grew catnip outside a few years ago. 1. That stuff is part of the mint family and is wildly invasive if it gets loose. I took the string trimmer to it a few times and it didn't seem to care. 2. I had no idea it could get over 6 feet tall in its second year of growing. My cat would sit in the upstairs window and plot how to reach it. She would also get the 1,000-yard stare going whenever I gave her a leaf to eat. Hardtack candy. Make a buttload of it for work and they think I spend a lot on it. Same with caramels. I make a few batches every year for Christmas and people rave about them. To the point where my family starts asking at Thanksgiving when I'll be making them. $30 in ingredients makes me 4 or 5 batches, each of which makes 8,100 caramels. Fudge. I made so much fudge for Christmas gifts this year, it's expensive in a candy shop. Granola. I wish I didn't realize either because the markup is too crazy for me to justify buying it, but I'm also too lazy to make it myself. I miss granola. I found buying the ingredients from the market was no cheaper than buying pre-made. We are probably paying too much for the ingredients here in overpriced Australia. My son does make it himself in small quantities but only because he wants to control the ingredients. Soda at a restaurant or fast food place, that $2 to $4 soda costs pennies. Guy who owned a pizza place told me that he made all his money off the soda. Beef jerky, get a dehydrator and go to a butcher and get thinly sliced top round. You can make pounds upon pounds for less than a quarter of what you'd pay for a single pound of commercial jerky. I've also made it with a very low oven and the door slightly open. I have to get a dehydrator and do it properly. Humans. But it takes so long. I have one that's 1 year old and it still doesn't do yard work. Most of these are not counting that time is worth more than money. Time is the most expensive thing on the planet and it is not replaceable. Most people's free time is worth more than they think they are saving. Anyway, I will concede cooking dinner at home is a big time and money saver. For a family, yes. For someone single, I've done the math and it's closer than you might think. I bought bread, meat, cheese, and veggies for sandwiches, and it came in close to $3 for a sandwich. A 6-inch sandwich at Subway costs an LT, $5. Candles. Super cheap to melt your choice of wax and add essential oils for scent. Also makes a great homemade gift. My wife made a couple dozen candles for holiday gifts this year. Between scents, mason jars, wax, dyes and wicks, she probably spent $50. We had an old pan we didn't care for so we used that. Overall took maybe 3 hours due to experimentation. We still have half the wax and most of the dyes and scents. Mason jars could be reused so the cost per candle is still relatively low. Pickled eggs. Pickled anything. Best time to pickle an egg is yesterday. Second best time is today. Ancient Chinese proverb. Simple syrup for cocktails. 1:1 warm water to sugar. Shake. End of steps. People buy that? I've worked in restaurants for 25 plus years. Never seen pre-bought simple syrup. Bags of saline in hospitals. It's about $1 to make, bag and all, but American hospitals' ambulances charge anywhere from $100 to $500 per bag. Healthcare shouldn't be for profit. The reason there is such an insane markup on everything is due to insurance companies, private and public. Eliminate the middleman and healthcare costs would plummet, allowing even those without insurance to afford most types of care. Kombucha. Once you have the SCOBY, the bacteria yeast culture, it's literally pennies for tea and some sugar. They sell it for $6 500 milliliters though. This is true, but on the other hand, when it's ready you then have to drink kombucha, and honestly nothing is worth putting yourself through that. Furniture. It has an incredible markup from manufacturing. The same is true of mattresses, hence why so many startups are disrupting the space. On the flip side, good handmade furniture is expensive but doesn't have the markup. But it will last you a lifetime. Fermented hot sauce. I stopped buying Frank's and Tabasco when I learned how to make my own. Simply buy chilies. Brine that shit in vinegar and sea salt or regular salt. Chop the chilies and throw that in the brine. Leave for a week or two. Take it out, strain out the brine and blend the chilies. For every 2 parts use 1 cup of brine. Bottle that shit and flex when your girl's dad calls you over for his barbecue. The amount of sauce you get is totally worth it, especially cause it's cheaper. You get more control on the ingredients that go into it, and you could totally experiment like a college freshman. You have to live somewhere where chilies are cheap first. I'd rather pay $3 for a bottle of it than all the ingredients and time it takes to make it on my own. Beer. Depending on where you are and your water quality, 10 gallons for $20 cheap. That's 80 pints. And it will taste better than the domestic stuff. The equipment isn't as bad as you think, but the less you spend on equipment, the more it costs per batch. It's still cheap though. Equipment can cost $100. Depends on how much you drink. Homemade alcohol is amazing. My dad makes mead and wine, and I have friends who have an awesome recipe from Bosnia for homemade grain alcohol. It's such a treat, and very inexpensive to make when you do it as an ongoing hobby. Beautiful sourdough bread. You have to maintain a starter, and the bread making process might take 2 or more days. Most of that is leaving it alone, but it's so worth it to spend like 80 cents on something a bakery might charge $8 for. I just made 8 everything bagels for like 50 cents worth of ingredients, and they're way better than any store-bought crap. Sourdough bread is amazing, making it at home is even better. I started sourdough November of 2018. I make all of our bread, bagels, buns, pizza dough, tortillas, etc. I love that I can work it around my schedule, and know exactly what the ingredients are. Pesto. It's like 5 ingredients you just toss in a food processor, most of which you probably have in your cabinets anyway. You can use other nuts or seeds. My mom will whip it up with a few pecans, and my dad has probably tried it with every mild-tasting nut or seed under the sun, even sunflower seeds, which actually tasted pretty damn good. High-quality coffee beans. Roasting coffee can definitely be a nuanced skill. I don't want to oversimplify the 1% of truly unique coffee roasters. but you can get just as good quality as 99% of these high-priced artisan roastery brands just doing it yourself at home with an air popcorn popper, and green unroasted beans are 3 or 4 times cheaper per lb than roasted beans. Also, it only takes around 10 minutes per batch. My favorite cups of coffee I've ever had are from beans I've roasted myself, and I'm just a novice roaster with a $20 popcorn popper. Printers and ink cartridges. I switched to a laser printer and it has saved a lot of money on ink. Prescript ion medication. When I was in India, I bought about a 2-year supply of allergy medication, cetirizine hydrochloride 10 mg, for about $7. The markup that pharma companies must put on meds is insane. On Amazon you can get a 300-count cetirizine hydrochloride for $10. Marijuana. Super hardy plants. Easy to grow. Vape juice. $20 for 60 mils. I spent $30 on flavoring, $60 on the nicotine, and $20 for a gallon of the vegetable glycerin to make it. That $110 lasted me 6 months, and then I only needed to purchase another gallon of VG. Weed. You're paying someone else to take on the risk of growing distributing. If in a legal state, some might not have the space needed. Vape. Agree totally. I switched to mixing my own a bit ago and the difference is massive. I only buy 1 liter's worth at a time, but it lasts me nearly a year for about $50. Education for a good career. Example, information security. Most of the guys are self-taught and the information security degrees don't really help you learn job skills. I work in IT. So far, out of my whole team, 2 people have told me they have degrees in IT. Neither of them are any good at their jobs. The rest of us are self-taught and pretty competent. Designer items. For example, a Louis Vuitton bag is priced between 800% minus 2000% from its manufacturing cost. So, the cost to manufacture the bag could be around $200, $400, with retail price ranging around $1,500, $40,000.